Privileged nations like Canada are often extremely resistant to change. Deep and important structural changes are indispensable, however, to reignite a growing economy and ensure the flourishing of peace and liberty. And they can only be brought about by a firm expression of political will. As a contemporary American observer noted some years ago, and I quote, "In a nation ruled by polls and ratings, where even newspapers hire focus groups to decide what kind of news readers want, we are losing sight of something that we should have learned as teenagers. Just because something is popular doesn't mean it's right." In fact, transforming leadership, leadership that makes a significant difference in the life of a nation, recognizes that political capital is acquired to be spent in great causes for one's nation, and this is precisely such a time. Prime ministers are not chosen to seek popularity, in spite of what you read in the media. They are chosen to provide leadership. There are times when voters must be told not what they want to hear, but what they have to know. And what they have to know is a quotation from the book of Proverbs on the Peace Tower in Ottawa: "Where there is no vision, the nation perishes." Leaders must have vision, and they must find the courage to fight for the policies that will give that vision life. Leaders must govern not for easy headlines in 10 days, but for a better Canada in 10 years. And they must be ready to endure the attacks that often accompany profound or controversial change, while they await the distant and compelling sounds of a verdict that only history and a more reflective nation can render in the fullness of time. Look at what's happening today in the United States of America. President Obama is fighting for a form of universal health care and is encountering ferocious resistance, even though his own party controls the House, the Senate, and the White House. He is now struggling on all fronts to provide a viable program for 47 million Americans who are uninsured, who have no health care, and the millions more, apparently 6 million a year, who continue to lose their health insurance every year because they can no longer afford the premiums. You can imagine the devastation on families with personal bankruptcies, people losing their jobs because they cannot, in the United States of America, the greatest country in the world, the richest country in the world, afford health care for all of their citizens. He's trying to do this while at the same time he's trying to cut expenditures in health care, because the present expenditures represent 18% of GDP, whereas in Canada and the other industrialized nations, it's half that, at about 9% of our national wealth. The attacks on President Obama are often bitter and mean-spirited, and his approval ratings, his popularity is sinking like a stone. Still, he fights on. Almost 50 years ago, a similar battle raged in Canada. But the vision, courage, and determination of Tommy Douglas, John Diefenbaker, Emmett Hall, and Lester B. Pearson produced Canada's national Medicare program, which is a source of great pride to all Canadians and an indication of the values we place on our citizenship. with its imperfections, it remains to this day a monument both to the leadership and to the social justice and genuine sense of fairness inherent in our Canadian citizenship. And I can tell you this, that 50 years from today, Americans will revere the name Obama because, like his Canadian predecessors, he chose the tough responsibilities of national political leadership over the meaningless nostrums of sterile partisanship that we see too much of in Canada and around the world today.